Please begin. You are live now. Please begin.
Now, oh,
Hello.
Hello everyone, please start your session. You are live on FB. Yes, Mr. Yadav, you can start.
સેટિંગ ચાલુ છે મેડમ. હા મેં કીધું પણ અહીંયા હજુ યસ કે છે તો કરું.
Mr.
I am ready.
હા હું કહું છું
I am ready.
ચાલુ છું કરું છું.
Hello.
યસ
Mr. Yadavji, you can start the session.
But Partha is presenting. I am not a presenter. Make me presenter first.
The presenter can be done by yourself only. Mr. Parth,
Yes, sir.
please start the
Hello.
session now.
Okay.
Yeah. Please share the screen.
Okay, sir. Sir, you can now present. Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am going to present methods of valuation. The content of my webinar is divided into three parts. That is, what is valuation, basics of valuation, and methods of valuation. If anybody wants to cite any of this material which I am presenting, they can cite using this particular details. What is valuation? So valuation is the technique and art of estimating or determining the fair price or value of a property, such as building, factory, or other engineering structures of various types, including land. When it is written fair price of building, what does it mean by fair price? When we say fair price means the price which the property may fetch from the open market. When I am saying open market and I am saying it may fetch, it means open market means the property is not having any sort of pressure of selling. Property is not sold due to any temptation. Therefore, the word open market is used. At the same time, the word fair price, the property's value which the willing buyer want to sell in open market is free from any sort of pressure. Therefore, the word fair price is used over here. What is valuation? So, by valuation, the present value of property is determined and which can be decided by its selling price or income or rent it may fetch. Valuation is not an arbitrary process. It is based on facts, and only after a judicious processing of such facts, value of property is determined. The value of property depends upon so many factors such as structure of the property, life of the property, that is age of a property, maintenance requirement, location of property, bank interest rates, legal control, whether it is whether the property is situated on a freehold property or leasehold property. So that legal control is also very important when we wanted to value a property. The valuation is not an arbitrary process. It is based on facts, and only after a judicious processing of such facts, value of property is determined. Now, what are the various purposes for which valuation of property is done? The valuation of property is carried out for rent determination purpose, buying and selling of properties purpose, security of loans and land mortgage is concerned. If you want the property to be mortgaged, or you want to take loan from the bank against the property, the valuation of property is carried out. The valuation of property is also carried out for betterment charges. If the property is required to be developed, or its surrounding is required to be developed, or the property some addition is required to be done, like some facilities, etc., for this betterment charges also the valuation may be carried out. The valuation of property is also carried out for the purpose of insurance. The valuation of property is also carried out for the taxation purpose. If the property is located in corporation boundary, maybe Surat Municipal Corporation, Baroda Municipal Corporation, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, and one is required to pay taxes. So for the purpose of taxation, the valuation of a property is carried out. For reinstatement of the property, the valuation of property is carried out. Sometimes it happens that the property may be acquired due to one or the other reason by government officials. So that is called as a compulsory acquisition. So that time to decide what may be the compensation to be given to the owner of the property, the valuation of property is carried out, that is called for the purpose of compulsory acquisition. When a property is required to be registered with the registrar's office or for any other legal purpose, the specific fees are required to be paid, and these fees are depending upon the value of a property. So to decide the court fees, what amount of stamp paper be used for a specific purpose, the valuation of property is carried out. If the asset belongs to company, so while preparing the balance sheet, in the balance sheet, if you wanted to mention the value of a property, the valuation of buildings which the particular company owns, that is to be carried out. What are the various factors which affect the valuation? So factors affecting valuation: number one, changes in building technology. Number two, changes in quality of area. Number three, changes in fashion and taste. You see on the right hand side of this particular side, there is 50-year-old one building is shown, and its design, its fashion, definitely it's not of the fashion of the today, but maybe because of its location it may fetch good value, but because of fashion and taste probably it may not fetch that good value. The changes in the age distribution of the population, sometimes it happens that the particular area where the retired people settle, and suddenly you find that the society is developed with aged people. So change in the age distribution of the population, the valuation of that particular area or that particular property may increase or decrease. Similarly, money supply. You know that after demonetization, the value construction market was down, and it was trying to recoup. Meanwhile, this COVID has come, which has again become a disaster, and disaster for construction industry. And you know that because of less money supply, the new buildings are not sold easily. Not only that, there are no willing buyer in the market for old building or new building. Why this happened? Because of the money supply. So based on how is the money supply, the valuation of property may increase, value of a property may increase or decrease. Then rent control act, planning control. For example, that in a particular area it is proposed that the airport may be new airport may be coming up, then the due to planning control near airport, the values of properties may go down. Where it is possible to construct high rises, it may not be possible to construct high rise near the airport. So planning control also sometimes increase the value of a property, and sometimes the value of property decreases because of certain planning controls, right? Then the population strength, what kind of people are living, depending upon that the value of value of property increases or decreases. Means of communication. If the area is newly developing and there are no proper roads, no street roads, or no proper communication, means the value of property may not be, or that particular society will not have that value of houses compared to the society which is well developed and well connected with the good roads, or may have nearby bus stand, or may have nearby a railway station. So means of communication is also one of the important factor deciding the value of a property. Design of a property, what kind of design the property have, whether it have the load bearing structure, whether it is having a RCC structure, or whether it have the combination of both, that is load bearing structure and RCC structure both. So depending upon that, the design of the design of property will also affect the value of a property. Migration tendency. This is observed when people are migrating from one area to another area. Definitely it will also affect the value of property. If we talk of the cities where we call it as an old city or court city, so in court city areas the houses were of width of around 10 to 12 feet and depth may be having 70 feet 80 feet. But with the development of the areas, with the development of nearby areas of the city, people may like to migrate from densely populated court areas to that of the areas surrounding the city, and thus the migration tendency of the people from densely populated area to the newly developing area may affect the value of a property. Change in proportion of single people to that of the married people, this is another social aspect by which the value of property may be affected. Now before we start understanding the various methods of valuation, one need to know certain basic things about the valuation. What are these basic things? Number one, depreciation. So what is depreciation? This may be defined as a decrease or loss in the value of a property due to structural deterioration, use, its age, wear and tear, decay, and obsolescence. So due to these reasons, the value of property decreases. This depreciation is worked out using number of methods. The methods used for computing depreciation are straight line method, constant percentage method, sinking fund or present worth method, or quantity survey method. The sinking fund method, what is sinking fund? A certain amount of the gross rent is set aside annually as sinking fund to accumulate the total cost of construction when the life of building is over. So the sinking fund is an amount which is kept aside annually to replace the existing building after its lifespan is over. So this is also one of the method of sinking fund. At the same time, if you go to cities like Mumbai, where there are chals or societies, there it is compulsory to accumulate sinking fund so that the building can be replaced after its useful lifespan is over. Not only that, in some of the other parts also, other parts of the city or other parts of the country, the sinking fund is kept aside to replace the property after its lifespan is over. Then years purchase, what is years purchase? So years purchase is defined as the capital sum required to be invested in order to receive a net annual income as an annuity of rupees 1 at a certain rate of interest. For example, the bank interest currently is say 5%. Means if one invests interest 100 rupees, he gets 5 rupees interest per annum. So if he wants to have 1 rupee income, how much he need to invest? So that is 100 divided by 5. So 20 rupees. So if he invests 20 rupees per annum, he will receive 1 rupee at 5% rate of interest. So that is called as years purchase. So years purchase is the amount which is invested at a certain rate of interest to receive rupee 1 at the end of 1 year. That is known as years purchase. The years purchase can be two types. Number one, or two ways. It can be considered two ways. Number one, single rate years purchase and dual rate years purchase. In case of single rate years purchase, to calculate years purchase, when the rate of interest on capital investment and rate of interest for deposit of sinking fund is considered same. If the rate of interest on capital investment and rate of interest on deposit, if both are same, then it is called as a single rate interest. When the rate of interest is different, that is on capital investment, if you consider the different interest rate, and for accumulating a sinking fund, if we consider the another interest rate, then it is called as a dual rate. So when we will see the methods of valuation, there we will there I will again explain you what is the meaning of single rate years purchase and dual rate year purchase. Then the terms which are used often while carrying out the valuation are gross income and net income. What is gross income? The gross income is the total income or receipt from all sources without deducting the outgoings. What are these outgoings? These outgoings may be taxes, maintenance, replacement, or loss of income due to one or other region. These are all outgoings. So gross income is the total income generated from the property is known as that of the gross income. While net income, what is net income? The net income from a property represents an amount left after the end of the year after allowing all outgoings. Net income is gross income minus outgoings. So you'll see here net income is nothing but it is equivalent to gross income minus all the outgoings. So to maintain the property, whatever expenditures you are required to carry out, like you have to pay taxes, you have to pay electricity bill, you have to pay the chowkidar charges, you have to pay the generator bills if generator is there. If suppose the water is supplied by corporation or any another agency, and you are required to pay water charges, watchman salaries, right? So all these comes under the outgoings. So these outgoings are required to be deducted from the gross income. So that will give me net income. So net income is very important when in a specific method, when we want to find out value of a property. These outgoings, I have already explained that outgoings are required to be incurred to maintain revenue of the buildings. What are these outgoings? So number one, taxes. Number two, repairs. Number three, management and collection charges. Number four, sinking fund. Number five, loss of rent. Number six, fire insurance. Number 7, ground rent. If suppose the building is constructed on a leasehold property and some amount is to be paid towards the ground rent, so it is also considered as an outgoing. And in some cases, when the agricultural assessment is required to be converted into non-agricultural land, then it is called as an what you can say outgoing, right? The capitalized value. The capitalized value of property is the amount of money whose annual interest at the highest prevailing rate of interest will be equal to the income from the property. Capitalized value of a property is the amount of money whose annual interest at highest prevailing rate of interest will be equal to the net income from the property. Suppose if you have constructed a building of 10 lakh rupees and for that, let's say the bank interest is 5%. Okay, so on 10 lakh rupees, whatever interest you will get at 5% rate of interest, the amount that is called the capitalized value of a property is the amount of money whose annual interest at the highest prevailing rate of interest will be equal to the net income from the. So that 10 lakh rupees, if you are deposited in a bank and at 5%, what interest you get, that interest is equivalent to that of the capitalized value of a property. The capitalized value of a property is determined. To determine the capitalized value of a property, it is required to know the net income from the property and the highest prevailing rate of interest. So if you are knowing the net income and highest prevailing rate of interest, you can able to find it out the capitalized value of a property. So capitalized value of a property equal to net annual return into years purchase. These are some of the formulas which are often used in case of valuation. For example, the first formula, F upon P I N. So F is what? Future value. P is what? Present value, right? I is what? Rate of interest, and N is what? The number of years. Suppose somebody invests 10 lakh rupees at 5% rate of interest and he wanted to know how much money he will receive after 10 years. Then F, first if he is using the first formula, F upon P is equal to 1 plus I raised to N. That will give you F is equal to P into 1 plus I raised to N. Means if somebody wants to invest 10 lakh rupees at 5% rate of interest for 10 years, then the future amount will be F is equal to 10 lakh into bracket 1 plus 5 upon 100 whole raised to N. So that N is equal to 10 years, right? So this way, that is the first formula which gives F upon P, I and N relationship. Similarly, if you know of the future amount, that if you wanted to have 10 lakh rupees at 5% interest after 10 years, how much money you need to invest today? So for that, P upon F formula is used. Similarly, when you want to find it out the sinking fund coefficient, that is sinking fund factor, the amount is to be deposited every yearly, that you wanted to find it out, then A upon F. F is what? As I said, the sinking fund is the amount which is accumulated over number of years to replace the existing building. So for example, the building which is required to be replaced after say 30 years needs, let's say, 50 lakhs rupees. So what amount of annuity, that is annual sinking fund value, you have to keep aside, that you wanted to find it out. So for that, the third formula, A upon F I N, that is A is your annual installment annuity F is your future value, I is your rate of interest, and N is number of years, right? So that way you can find it out the annuity, that is annual installment of sinking fund, using the third formula. Similarly, that if you are doing the annual installment for N number of interest at I%, what will be the future value, that you can find it out using F upon A formula. If you wanted to know what will be the annual amount, if you are annuity which you will receive if you will be investing P, present money, P rupees at I% rate of interest for N years, then that is capital recovery factor is used for it. And similarly, if you want P by A, if you are using annually some amount of money and want to know what will be its want to receive some amount of money, and if you want to know what amount of money be received, money be invested, that you can find it out using the P upon A IN formula. So these are the some of the very common formulas which are used in case of valuation for finding out the money receivable after certain period, money receivable today. If the future value is this, then what will be the today's investment, and if the today's investment is this, then what will be its future value. Like this type of working that can be done using this particular formula. Let us now come to various methods of valuation. See, the methods or the different methods of valuation are land and building method, number 2 rental method of valuation, number 3 direct comparison method, number 4 profit based method, and number 5 development method of the valuation. These are the 5 main method of valuation which are used for the valuation of property, but not limited to these 5 methods only. There may be combinations of method used for carrying out the valuation of a property. Let us discuss the first method. As the name itself suggests, land and building method of valuation. As land and building, there are 2 different components they are associated with this method. One is land, other one is building. So when you have to do valuation using this particular method, you should know the fair value or market value of land and market value of building, and when you add this, you will get land and building value of combination of both, that is land and building. So valuation of land, so there are 2 components as I discussed, as I have discussed in previous slide. There are 2 components in this method. One is land, another is building. So how the valuation of land is carried out? So valuation of open land may be done by any of the 2 methods as and where applicable. These 2 methods are, number 1 comparative method, number 2 built-in method. So what is comparative method? So in case of comparative method, the sale prices, so whose sale prices? The sale prices should be recent one, so that there is no set up in the value of land during the intervening period of comparison. So directly you compare the sale price of the land, right, and from that you can value the value of your land. Second is similar neighborhood land. This method is based on a comparison of land with the neighborhood. The land should not vary with comparer, right? So 2 methods are there in comparative method. Number 1 sale price, and number 2 that is sale price of the property, same property of the same area, sale price of the property of the similar neighborhood, and then you can find out the valuation of land of the valuation of the land which is under consideration. Okay, then what are the factors which affects the value of land? The number of factors which affect the value of land are, number 1 situation. The value for residential purposes will be lower than business or commercial locality. The value in residential area which is near to facilities required like school, markets will be higher compared to other residential areas located far away. The second one is size of the property. So small size plots are sold at higher rate than that of the bigger size plots. Then again, the regular shape plot, then size of the plot, then comes the, what you can say, the shape of the plot. So in case of shape of a plot also, the regular shape plot of land shall be valued more than that of the irregular shape of the plot, right? So that is shape of the plot. Already you have discussed that regular shape plot have more values than that of the irregular shape plot. Return frontage, a corner plot having road on two sides known as return frontage will be valued more than the normal plot having the same area with front road only. So you know that in societies always you will see that the corner plots are in demand. Why? Because those plots will get more ventilation, light, etc., because it may be open on two sides, right? And because of that the value of corner plot is more. Vistas, when the second road meet the first road, then the plot of land developed in front is called the vistas. Due to more facilities like natural ventilation, its value is higher. In case of business and commercial locality, its value is higher due to better visibility from far away and better display of signboards and articles. So at a intersection of two roads, if the property is situated exactly in front of it, it will be having higher value than the property which is in a row and in between place. Nature of a soil, it also plays a very important role. Natural land has good bearing capacity than that of the artificially land. The bearing capacity affects the foundation cost of the building, and the value of natural land is higher than this filled up land. So if the bearing capacity of the soil is good, then definitely the value of land may be more than that of the value of land which is having the filled up kind of a soil. Now the second method of valuing the land is built-in method of valuation. Sometimes you have seen that the society gate or the number of apartment gate is the distance between the gate and the furthest apartment or farthest house in that particular campus is 1 kilometer, right? Therefore what people will try to do, the people may like to live near the gate so that they need to walk less. The one who is residing far away from that of the gate, he has to walk from gate to his house or her house for 1 kilometer, and again this is a residential house, so he has to do this thing daily. So people will not like to reside or have their house away from the main gate, or they try to prefer the house nearer to the gate. Then in that case, how the builder or how the developer want to sell his plots, because nobody will like to go in depth, right? In depth, everybody wants that his or her house should be near the gate. So in such circumstances, the developer or builder can apply the belting method of valuation, and using the belting method of the valuation, he can attract the people and sell his all plots. How? Just see in the next slide. So you will see here that, as I said, from road, the third belt is, let's say, 1.5 kilometers away from the main road, and all adjoining side and on the back side there is no other road. There is only one road through which the resident of this particular plot can enter. So you will find that the entire plot is divided into three belts, right? That is first belt, second belt, and third belt. You will see on the right hand side of this plot, I marked it as X, 1.5 X, and then the third belt that is remaining, right? Out of the total, the depth of the plot, I have the developer has divided into three parts. That is first part, first belt, second belt, and third belt. If you will see on the right hand side of the first belt, it is written as full value. Then the second belt, it is written as 3/4 value. And in third belt, it is written as half value of that of the first belt. That means the out of this first, second, and third belt, which one is the costliest belt? The costliest belt will be the first belt. The value of the plots in the second belt will be 3/4 of that of the first belt, and the value of a plots in third belt will be half of that of the. This is for illustration. This will never happen that the value of the plots which are in third belt will be exactly half of the first belt. It won't be, right? There will be a marginal difference between the value of plot located in the first belt and the value of plot which are located in the third belt. Similarly, you will see that the plot is of what we can say not exactly rectangle. It is an uneven shaped plot, and the developer wants to sell the triangular part area also, and therefore you will see that on left hand side bottom plot, recess land 3/4 of the belt value, right? And the again on the recess that is on the left hand side, the top one, there is also it is recess land 3/4 of the belt value. That means the developer will not have uniform value of plot for entire area. He has divided the value of plot in such a way that his average profit, what he wants from the entire developing entire area, that he can recover, but not keeping the uniform price. What he will do, he may keep the highest price for the first belt and maybe the lowest price for the left hand side recess land, which is of the irregular step. So that gives you the analysis of building method of the valuation. Then relationship regarding the value, this all I have already explained, so I'll go ahead that how the belting valuation of a plots are carried out using belting method of a valuation. When it comes to valuation of building, the rate of depreciation and lifespan of a building depends on quality of maintenance and quality of material used. So once the valuation of land is done, then you have to do valuation of a building. When we want to carry out the valuation of building, the valuation of building depends upon two things. Number one, quality of maintenance. Number two, quality of material used. And depending upon that, the valuation of building is carried out in using three different methods. Number one, cost from accounts. This method is suitable for works done by inviting tenders, and so accurate cost can be known. The payments done by actual cost, that is to be worked out and that to be sum up, and this particular method is suitable for construction of government buildings or local bodies. Then second method is plinth area basis. You have to simply multiply the plinth area by plinth area rate, and you can find it out what you can say the value of a building prevailing in that area. Then cubic rate estimate, when the height of the building is considerable, then the plinth area rate method will not be applicable to do this. Then you have to go for the cubic content method of a building, and using the cubic content method of the building, you can find it out the value of a property. Just excuse me, just my battery is low. Within 1 minute I will attach the charger to it. 1 minute please. Okay, so that is the cubic rate estimate method, which is used for finding out the value of a building. Then cost from detail item, as we are doing item rate estimate, similarly you can work it out, take the measurements and finding out the actual cost of the building using the current market rates. Then that is the fourth method, cost from detail items, right? Then comes the second method of valuation, which is known as, the name itself suggests, rental method of valuation. The main principle of this method of valuation is present worth or future benefits. The rental method of value, in the rental method of valuation, from the rent received from the property, that gross rent is find it out, and using this gross rent, the net rent is determined. How the net rent is determined? The net rent is determined by gross rent minus outgoings. All the outgoings you have to subtract from that of the gross rent, which will give you the net rent of the property. Once the net rent of the property is known, then capitalized value of a property is equal to net rent into that of the year's purchase. That will give you the value of the property. So this method is known as rental method of valuation. The year's purchase shall be worked out assuming the present rate of interest of scheduled banks. If you will, if you know that the bank interest currently is 5%. But if you talk of 90s, the bank interest was some 14%, 16%, etc. So the year's purchase will definitely affect the value of a property, right? So capitalized value of a property is equal to net rate into year's purchase. So once the market rate, once the bank rates are going down, probably your value of property will also goes down with the decrease in the rate of year's purchase, and that will fetch less value from the market. Rents for the purpose of valuation must be fair rent. Now, whenever there is a word fair rent, again I repeat, fair rent. Fair rent means the rent which is actually received from the market. In the beginning, we have seen the various purposes of valuation. For example, one of the purpose of valuation was taxation. Means you wanted to pay tax on your property. So what will be the attitude of the landlord or owner of the property? He will try to show value of his property less so that he can pay tax less, and therefore in that case he may like to show the fair rent less than that of the actual rent, right? While the purpose of valuation is to have loan from the bank, right, for the development purpose or for any another reason. So that time what the owner of property will try to do, the owner of property wants more loan. He wants the loan to be on a higher side. So when he wants loan to be on a higher side, that time he will not show the fair rent, but he may try to attempt to show the rent received from the property higher than that of the actual rent. Therefore, the fair word is used over here. So rental method of valuation, the soul of the method is the rent, right? And if that rent shown is correct, what will happen? The valuation of property will also be correct, right? So rents for the purpose of valuation must be fair rent which is maintainable over a considerable period of duration with no threat of being reduced in future. So this rent should be such that it should remain continuously for a considerable period. It should not happen that after some times the rents goes down, and as I said that the purpose of taking loan from the bank, and he has shown some rent, and based on that the valuation is done and the bank has given some loan to this particular owner. But after say 2 years, 3 years or 5 years, if the rent has gone down, the value of property will also go down, and it should not happen the loan given by the bank is more and the value of property is less. So from this you can understand, when I give this example, you can understand what is the importance of fair rent, right? So limit for rents will be that of the standard rents. Points to be considered during valuation by rental method of valuation: number one, land and its tenure, shape of the land, and whether it is a freehold or leasehold property on which building has been erected, right? So this particular point, land in its tenure, that is not important only for rental method of valuation, but the valuer is required to consider the land and its tenure, even if he is going for the land and building method of valuation or any another method of valuation. So when we say that we wanted to do the valuation of a property, the valuer be smart enough to find it out, what you can say, the all the internal, external and hidden factors related with the building, right? And then only he can able to work out the real value of a property. Then cubic content of the building, outgoings like municipal taxes, repairs, insurance, etc., gross rent, future life of the building, years purchase, capital repairs if required, value of land from records. So these are the factors which one has to keep in mind while when they are carrying out valuation using rental method of valuation, that is lands and tenure, cubical content, outgoings, gross rent received, future life of the building, years purchase consider, capital repairs required to maintain that future life of building, that also one need to keep in mind while they are doing the what you can say valuation of property using rental method of valuation. What are the disadvantages of rental method of valuation? A property consisting of land and building valued together cannot be proportionate afterwards. So when rental method of valuation use, you will get both the value of land and building together. You cannot separate it out, the value of land and value of building separately, right? Separately in case of rental method of valuation. Then the actual rent paid must be proved to be fair rent, otherwise very less reliance can be placed upon it. So as we have seen, capitalized value of a property is equal to net rent into years purchase. So the net rent is worked out from the rent which is received from the property. If you show this rent high, the valuation of property may be high. If you show this rent less than that of the actual rent, then what will happen? The valuation of property will be less. Therefore, the fair rent is one of the important component of rental method of valuation. Judicial judgment for outgoings under various heads is difficult. I do not have time. I have to complete this presentation in 1 hour. Otherwise, there are many examples in which you will find that the certain outgoings which are claimed by the owner of or a landlord of particular property that are not accepted by the code. Okay, so this is again a separate topic. Those who are interested further in knowing the judicial judgment for outgoings, they can go and see any of the site like kanun.org, like that is legal sites, and they can find number of cases which are challenged in the court wherein the owner wants to claim particular thing as an outgoing, why the High Court has denied that it cannot be considered as an outgoing. At the same time, you will also get the judgment in which the court has granted judgment that yes, this specific thing may be considered as an outgoing. So judicial judgment for outgoings under various head is difficult, but every time the court will not intervene, and court will not give you judgment a specific or decide the outgoings of a specific property. Years purchase is dependent on rate of interest, which is not fixed. That what I have already said, that the same property, if we take a rate of interest of 1990, which was around 11%, 12%, 13%, and today's bank interest rate, it is around 5.5 to 6%. So years purchase is dependent on rate of interest, which is not fixed, right? And therefore this particular method of rental method of valuation have these specific drawbacks when you are working out value of property using this particular method. Then comes the next method, which is called the direct comparison method. This method, maybe this is a method of valuation. This method may be adopted when the rental value is not available from the property concerned, but there are evidences of sale price of properties as a whole. The method consists of ascertaining the capitalized value of property by direct comparison with the capitalized value of a few adjoining properties, right? I knew that in case of Surat, if we'll go to Bhagal area, right, that is one of the most busy older city commercial area, right, wherein you will find that the value of property cannot be worked out using square feet, right, because the value may be very high. So in that case, the comparison method, direct comparison method of valuation may be used, and then the value of a property can be determined, right? So this method is adopted when the particulars of sale of few adjoining properties are available. So from where one will get the sale of few adjoining properties? Unfortunately, I am not that much what we can say conversant with Google Meet, but and because of that, I am not asking you question in chat. But if I can see the chat in this Google Meet also, I would like to ask you the questions also along with this particular presentation, that where you will find the sale of adjoining property. Suppose if somebody is interested that in my area at what rate the properties are sold, if I wanted to go and find it out, where I can go? I have to go to registrar's office, right, or registrar's office of that adjoining that particular area. And if I will, where the property get registered on a name of a person, one who is buying or selling, so depending upon that buyer and seller, the document is required to be registered in the registrar's office. And in the registrar's office, if you will go, you can able to know the, what you can say, the value of that particular property. Again, here the point, let me make one more point clear, that when the registration of property is done, right, of course now the Jantri government has also brought into the picture, and because of that one cannot register any property below the Jantri value in prevailing in that area, right? So that Jantri value is considered as an market value for that particular area. But sometimes it may happen that the market value of the property is much higher than that of the Jantri value or of the registered value, right? What the reason for that? Probably you know better than me. The property should be similar, transactions are to be new and normal. Yeah, and when we wanted to do comparison, some of you may ask me a question, sir, when I am using this particular method of comparison, that is direct comparison method, which value I have to compare? Or then therefore it is written that new and normal details of each property is known, means you have to check the new transaction, not the old one of the property, and with that you can compare the value of property. This method is suitable where it is not possible to know the fair rent, like owner occupied properties, school, clubs, outhouses, etc. So for this particular what you can say types of property, this method of valuation is suitable. Then comes the profit based method of valuation. As the name itself suggests, the method is based on the profit. The method, as the name suggests, deals in working the profit from a property and subsequently capitalizing the same at appropriate rate of return depending upon a number of factors. So that is specifically where you can able to identify, where you can able to make out what profit you are making from that particular property. This method of valuation is suitable for it. So that is called profit based method of valuation. The profit is worked out after deducting all possible outgoing, including interest of capital investment and also remuneration of labor rendered by owner. This net profit can reasonably be released in the form of net rent, and that net profit is considered as a net rent, and that net rent is multiplied by years purchase to get the capitalized value of property. The net profit is multiplied by years purchase to determine the capitalized value of a property. The net profit to be adopted should be an average of the last 3 years of a profit, applicable to cinema houses, shops, hotels, etc. Right? So here for other methods I have not included any example, but this I find that let me share with you one of the example which I have make for carrying out the valuation of cinema house located in one of the prime area of Surat city, right? That is prime area. You understand, when I say prime area means the prices of land is very high, right? The cost of land in that particular area is very high. So cost of land per lifetime period of the cinema house is around 10 crore 20 lakh rupees, right? And gross income per year for this particular cinema house, that I have computed like this, that let's say there are 25 seats in a cinema house, right? And 15 rows, 15 25, you just see this line above the slide, that is 25 seats, 15 rows, occupancy that is 30% only, right? I have assumed that the occupancy of the theater is 30%. The ticket rates of ticket is 125 rupees. The shows are 4 shows, 30 days and 12 months. Okay, so based on that, when I have worked out the gross income per year, it comes out to be 2 crore and 2 lakh rupees. Okay, so what is the cost of land? 10 crore 20 lakh, and from that the gross income per year from running of this particular cinema is, let's say, 2 lakh 2 crore and 2 lakh rupees, right? And for this cinema house we want to work out the valuation of it. So what we do, what we need the expenses. So what are the expenses? Expenses number one, to run the cinema including staff salary, electricity charges and municipal taxes including license fees, stationery and printing charges, etc., 22% of the gross income, right? Then second, for repair and maintenance of machinery, plants, equipment, furniture, 5% of their capital cost. That capital cost of this machinery, etc., is 40 lakh rupees. One has to keep sinking fund aside for the machinery as shown in the B, where the life is 25 years and after allowing 4%, after allowing 10% scrap value. So rate of interest considered is 4% and the scrap value of machinery is 10%. Considering 10%, the sinking fund is required to be set aside, right? Then the insurance premium for this particular cinema house is 1 lakh rupees per year. Assume years purchase for 60 years at the rate of 8% and redemption of capital at rate of 4%. Annual repairs of the house are considered at a rate of 10% of the gross income. So all these will go as an outgoings, right? So gross income per year 2 crore 2 lakh 50,000 rupees. Outgoings 22% of the gross incomes toward the staff salary, which comes out to be 44 lakh 55,000. The sinking fund required to be set aside for machinery, whose cost is 40 lakh at a rate of interest 4% and on a value of after deducting the 10% scrap value. First of all, we find out the sinking fund coefficient using the formula I upon 1 plus I raised to n minus 1, and that sinking fund coefficient has come 0.024. So sinking fund on 40 lakh rupees, after deducting, this is 4 lakh. 4 lakh is 10% of that of the 40 lakh, which comes out to be 4 lakh. Hence the cost comes out to be 36 lakhs for the machinery after deducting the scrap value, and this 36 lakh is required to be multiplied by the sinking fund coefficient, which gives me 86,400 rupees. Sinking fund is required annually to be set aside for 25 years. The insurance premium per year is 1 lakh rupees. It is directly given. Yearly charges for cinema building repairs, that is given 10% of the gross income, that is 2 crore 2 lakh rupees. It's a 10% is 20 lakh 25,000 rupees, right? So outgoings summary I have done like this: staff salary, electricity, printing, etc., 44 lakh 55,000. Sinking fund, which we have worked out, 86,400. Insurance premium, that is 1 lakh. Repairing and maintenance, that is 20 lakh 25,000. So total outgoing comes out to be 66 lakh 66,400 rupees. Okay, so gross income is 2 crore 2 lakh 50,000 minus your outgoing, that will give me my net return. So net return comes out to be 1,35,83,600 rupees. So years purchase for 60 years at 8% redemption on capital and 4% on the 4%, means owner expects 8% return on his capital amount which he has invested in making the cinema house, and 4% on the, what you can say, the sinking fund. So when we take dual rate year purchase, 1 upon IP plus IC, and knowing the sinking fund coefficient, and IP has 8% interest, the YP comes out to be 11.88. YP means years purchase. Therefore, the capitalized value of a property 1,35,83,600 into 11.88. So this comes out to be 16,13,73,168. This is the value of, present value of the cinema house, which is in the Surat's prime area, considering the above data. So this gives you the example. This example shows you how the value of, what you can say, cinema house be carried out using, but I forgot to add the value of land also. So that is the capital value of a house, that is 16,13,73,168 plus value of land as 10,20,000. Sorry, 10 crore 20 lakhs. So that gives me 26 crore 33,73,168 rupees, right? So this is the value of the particular cinema house. Okay, then comes the next method, development method of valuation. If a large parcel of land is required to be divided into plots after providing for roads, parks, etc., this method of valuation is adopted. Means from a large plot you wanted to divide small plots and then you wanted to sell it off. So for that purpose, development method of valuation is used for valuing this particular property. In such cases, the probable selling price of the divided plots, the area required for road, park, etc., and other expenditure for development should be known, right? This method of valuation is used for the properties which are in the undeveloped stage or partly developed and partly undeveloped stage. If a building is required to be renovated by making addition, alterations, or improvements, the development method of valuation may be used, right? So valuation by development method of building estate is equal to present value of property minus that of the total outgoings. So for that particular this method, development method, you have to find present value minus that of total outgoings. That will give you this, right? So this is one example, that this is the property, entire property of irregular type of a shape, and in which you will see that number of roads are done marked over here. There is a common COP. There are one COP on the top side, another one is on the right hand bottom corner, another COP is there, and in between you will see the number of plots are seen that are what you can say, the plotting is done, and these particular property is ready for sale, and for such type of a property the valuation is required to be carried out. This is another figure which shows the development method of valuation, how the plots can be plots are made. You will see that there are a different type and different size of plots. Some plots are of bigger size, some are smaller than it, right? And there are a number of plots you can see, and for such type of a property you wanted to know what will be the value of this particular property. So this is another image which shows the how the development method of valuation is work. This particular figure again gives another idea that how the plotting is done, right? And you will see that where there is a plotting, they have marked what you can say, the markings, right, by putting the kinds of stone arrows or what you can say wooden pegs, and that decides the size of the plot, right? And these plots may be sold and they may belong to the different owners. Okay, so work out the cost of plot land in the Olpad area of Surat district measuring 60,000 square meter, which is now ripe for building development, when the average market rate of small building plot is rupees 150 per square meter, and the cost of development for roadways, water supply, sewerage system, electricity, and all other engineering works as rupees 40 per square meter, right? So total area of plot is 60,000, right? Out of that 30% area you have to keep reserve for park and road, so 18,000. So net sellable area will be 60,000 minus 18,000, that is 42,000 square meter. Now to give you idea what exactly mean by 42,000 square meter, if area of one plot is considered 420 square meter, which is considered to be quite a big plot, okay, which is suitable for bungalow. So in this much of the area, approximately 100 bungalows can be planted, right? This is just for an illustration that what does the 42,000 square meter means, and in 42,000 square meter how many bungalows can be planted. So that is 100 bungalows can be planted. So you see now this here, these are the all sites for this type of a plot, which is having what you can say 100 plots, which is suitable for this is smaller than 420 square meter. One more thing, these are very small plots, okay, but you can say that 420 square meter one plot, it may be approximately the area for 100 plots. Okay, so gross income from that 42,000 into 150, 63 lakh rupees. Assuming that it will not happen that when you open the property for sale, right, the moment you open the property for sale in the market, all the plot will not be sold on a one day. So let's consider that the first plot is sold today and the last plot will sell after 4 years. The average period of 2 years, the present value of P receivable at the end of n years at 6% rate of interest, you will get 0.892. Means if you are receiving 1 rupee, but if you are considering that after 2 years, because total period is 4 years, what will be the value of rupee 1? So value of rupee 1 can be taken as 0.892 rupees. So present value of 63 lakh rupees. The gross income which you will get 63 lakh rupees, that is for over an entire period of 4 years. So we have to bring it down to 2 years period, and therefore for 2 years the present value of 63 lakhs with the 0.829 reducing it to the 2 years of the period at a 6% rate of interest, it gives me 56 lakh 19,600 rupees. The outgoings are cost of development, that is land area into development cost, which is given as 40 rupees. So that comes out to be 24 lakh rupees. But again, these 24 lakh rupees will be the expenditure be done for over a period of 4 years, while we need it during a period of 2 years, average it out for a 2 years. So multiplying it by 0.892, we get 21 lakh 40,800. So the total cost of the engineering supervision charge is at 5% of this 21 lakh rupees, which comes out to be 1 lakh 7,000. The stamp cost for registry etc., that comes out to be 3 lakh 21,000. The annual maintenance, because the plots you may provide roads, you may provide drainage, may have electricity etc. So 10% of that also we have kept for that. So it comes out to be 2,14,000, and developer profits considering 15%, which comes out to be 3,21,000. So total outgoings will be A plus B plus C plus D plus E, that gives us 31 lakh rupees and 31 lakh 4,160 rupees. So therefore the cost of the plot will be the gross value minus that of the outgoing. So this gives me 31 lakh 95,980. So this will be the value of undeveloped land. That is, if somebody wants to buy this particular plot with this detail, he can buy at 31 lakh rupees, 95,840 rupees, right? And the cost of undeveloped plot for that will be 60,000 square meter is the area. So for 53 rupees and 26 paisa, that will be the cost of the land, right? So this was all about what you can say the method development, that is the last method, which is the development method of the valuation, right? Development method of the valuation. So quickly revising, we have discussed the 5 methods, right? Which one? The first one was land and building method of the valuation. Second one, which is the second method. 5 methods we have discussed. I'll just quickly go back to that. Land and building method of valuation, then rental method of valuation, then direct comparison method of valuation, then profit based method of valuation, and development method of valuation. Out of this, I have explained, giving example, profit-based method of valuation and development method of valuation. I have 5 minutes. I think that is 1 hour timing is there. So I would like to show you one more example wherein we say that the methods of discuss the various methods of valuation, but in actual practice, when the valuer has to do the valuation of property, he need to take so many other points in consideration. It is not as simple as what we can say directly we can do the valuation of a property. So here is one example. A hotel was built in a barren area 50 kilometers away from a city. Water supply was by tanker, power supply was by generator. The hotel was linked with the main city by a regular road. The hotel was next to a stadium. So near the stadium, one hotel was built. The cost of the hotel was 50 million US dollar. The bank finance was 40 million dollars. The hotel occupancy was only 3%. As the hotel is away from that of the stadium, 50 kilometers away from the stadium, right? The hotel occupancy is only 3%. That is 10 days in a year during car race in a stadium. So in a stadium, this stadium maybe have a car racing, and because of this car racing only during these 10 days, what happens that the hotel rooms were booked, right? There were additional losses because of extra cost of providing water and power services in the said area, right? There were no buyers in market due to losses. So this is the property, and for this particular property you find that there was no buyer in the market. Okay, an expert valuer advised to bank. Now the bank approach, because the bank has given $40 million loan to this particular property, and as if the occupancy rate may be less, probably the bank may not be getting their installment because of economic loss which the property suffers, and therefore they seek the advice of valuer. So what a valuer advise? An expert valuer advised bank to convert hotel cottages into weekend villas. So these hotel cottages, he said that better you convert into weekend villas by further investing $5 million for conversion, because it is a hotel and they want the valuer advice that let us consider into weekend villas. Ultimately, the said property was sold for $200 million to various city dwellers as a weekend houses. So the property where nobody was ready to buy it, when its purpose is converted from what you can say hotel to villas, the property was sold at $200 million to various city dwellers as a weekend house. This example shows us that the alternative and better use of the property is also one of the important criteria in valuation. So like this particular example, there are other examples also wherein the valuer has to keep in mind what we can say the purposes for which the property is required to be valued, or the valuer can advise to a seller or a buyer, right? How he can get more value, or how he can buy the property at less value. So the expert valuer can do that also, right? So I have been in 60 minutes and I have completed my presentation in 60 minutes. Thank you very much. I'd like to take up some questions if you have.
Thank you so much, sir, for the giving us such an informative session. There are a lot of questions are there, but some of few questions are main common. So I dictate this that questions. The first question is there any scope in the valuation field?
Yeah, in valuation field there is lot of scope, but only thing is that the valuation license you get after the sufficient experience. Only there is one institute in India, which is Sardar Vallabhbhai SP University, which runs the course of ME in valuation, and where the BE civil candidate, not only the BE civil, but the graduates are admitted. And if you complete that valuation course, that is I think 2 years of course, then you can start doing practicing after again having experience of 2 years. So that is the only shortcut for civil engineers to work as a valuer. Otherwise, if you are a BE Civil practicing engineer, and if you continue to practice as a civil engineer for 10 years, you can apply for valuer's license, and you may get valuation license after giving some examinations or certification or certificate course like that.
Okay, sir. Another question is there any software for the particular valuation?
No,
Any?
no, no, no software. The today's generation wants everything with the software, right? That's why this example I have shown you. Last example you have seen, na, that the
Yes, sir.
hotel is 50 kilometers away from city and it is nearby stadium. The owner might have developed that hotel keeping the stadium in mind, but the stadium occupancy is only 3%. Got it? So what happened? That it has gone into loss. So which software will calculate like this? So it is only the experience of a person, right, who is working in this particular field of valuation or civil engineering. He can rightly tell us the value of a property or guide the person that yes, it is good, that it is advisable that you buy this property, or better you leave that property. Actually, because of shortage of time, I have not taken one example wherein there was a tank in a village, and that tank is somebody is ready to sell that tank at particular cost. So we the person came to the valuer and asked, sir, this particular tank is available at this cost, shall I buy it? Because after 10 years I may get 10 times more than the value at which I am buying it. And when the calculations are done, it is found out that it is even if he buy with that particular price, he will not be at profit. So this type of a things the valuer can advise. So no ready-made software is available. Yeah, valuation tables are there for computing these formulas which I have shown you, na. So for these formulas, the valuation tables are there with different interest rates, and for different years you can find it out the value of property directly multiplying with the coefficients which are given in this valuation table. For that, you are not required to what you can say do the calculation using the formulas which I have shown. So for that, definitely one can develop the software also, that if you put this rate of interest, this particular years, this money you can give as an output, and you can find it out what will be its value after 10 years or 15 years. So that is possible to develop.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for the giving us such an informative session. And also, we are thankful by the on behalf of our Parul University, and also thankful to Parul University to arrange the to helping to arrange this informative session. So thank you so much, sir, for this technical uh, session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just before we end this meeting, my email address is sivnam27
Okay.
shivnam27 at the rate
Okay.
gmail.com. So if anybody have any query, they can send me through email also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Noted, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Shall I stop presenting?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank
Okay, okay.
Sir, you
Thank
can
you
Shall I
very
leave
much,
continue.
sir.
meet-
Thank you
shall
very
I
much,
leave
sir.
meeting?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir.